We're about to enter the world of Zoo Strikers, a tropical region filled with lots of interesting characters and online team-based shooter games with 3D platformer movement. It's been almost a year since the last time we've been here. Hopefully, something exciting is in store for us.
In the last video, we made the desert map, the platforming racing map, and a few new characters. Since then, we've been working on the game, kind of. Okay, to make a long story short, we got jobs. So Zoo Strikers is being worked on in our free time. And by the way, my new job is a 3D artist on this really cool 3D platformer. We'll talk about that later. We were testing and bug fixing the online so matches could be played in full from start to finish. Except when the match is finished, the game just kind of did this. So now we gotta make an end of match screen that's not that. Also, there's some optimizations I'd like to add that are small but important. And finally, I think it's time we finish the player's moveset. But before all that, I need to make the loading screen. Right now, our current loading screen is this. The beta testers love it, but Steam is not so happy with us for this. And hopefully this will get my UI design muscles pumped and primed for the end screen.
If they want to make a loading screen, they'll have to study and understand what makes an unforgettable loading screen.
Okay, so our loading screen is like 2 seconds long. So all these really famous loading screens aren't that helpful because they're meant for loading times that could go up to a minute long. Currently, I think the loading screen should be diegetic. A while ago, I was trying to come up with ways on how the players travel from the hub to the matches, which all take place on separate islands. So seeing what the in-game characters see as they are teleported from the hub to the arenas could work as the loading screens. Maybe something like this. But the loading screen will be during that period in between the two locations. Check this out. I reused a lot of assets from the main menus to create this mock-up of a digital tunnel the characters travel through. The design is really simple right now, but there's so much we can do with this. Like the text flying by. Right now it only says now loading, but in further iterations we could have unique text for what it's specifically loading, acting like street signs. The player characters could be running along the center tube thing, and then maybe the robot companions can be joining up with them as they go. Maybe you see other players flying by and going to different arenas. Basically, this can be the digital transportation system of the Zoo Strikers world. Now I gotta make just a simple base version of this tunnel so we can import it into Unity. And here it is. There's actually a duplicate of the tunnel at the end, so when the camera reaches the start of the duplicate tunnel, it teleports back to the start of the original tunnel, creating the illusion that it's infinitely looping. Now we have a simple foundation for a fun loading screen. If you have any ideas for other cool additions like what I was talking about earlier, please comment below. I actually commissioned a song for the loading screen created by none other than Tony Grayson, world famous creator of Ant Balls and Ant Blast. Here is a little preview of the song he made. I really love how the track came out, so let's see it in game. I don't see any problem with that. I guess the players will only ever get to hear 3 seconds of the song. Alright, that was a little bit of an oversight to make a 1-minute song for a 3-second loading screen, but we can fix it. We could artificially inflate the loading time so players hear more of the song. But I think we're gonna have to go with the more simple solution of just using the song for the menus in general and not just the loading screen.
With the loading screen in, Mick is ready to start making the end of match screen. But before that, there's some optimizations that have to be done in order to ensure that players actually reach the end of matches.
Zoo Strikers is a pretty well optimized game already, at least by modern standards. I'm using very little textures and keeping them at low resolutions. Each in-game map usually only uses 5 or 6 different materials and are kept around the 100k vertices mark, and character models are kept around 3k verts. That said, there's still more that could be done, and right now the biggest cause of low frame rates are animator controllers. I put animator controllers on everything. You
did what?
It was not until recently that I discovered this is really bad and really dumb. So we need as many of these turned off as possible. And the easiest way to accomplish that is with LODs. Now, most of us know that LODs are used for lowering the vertex count on models the further away they get from the camera. But we can use LODs to turn off these animator components as well. On top of this, these items on the ground shouldn't actually be using animator controllers. They should be using animation components. This is something I just found out about a few months ago. The animation component is a much less demanding feature than the animator controllers. I'm willing to bet this is going to really optimize the game for some computers. I just wish someone told me about these animation components like 2 years ago before I set all this up. Alright, I've set up the LODs and replaced the animator controllers on the items and the robots. Now if I run away, can you notice the animation stop playing? On some of these, you can't even tell when the LOD changes. On others, it's quite noticeable. This still has to be tested on lower end PCs, but hopefully it'll help. If you are looking to do LODs for your game, check out this really helpful video by Ketra Games. The link is in the description.
After months of reworking, testing, and tweaking, the player's moveset has been updated again. It seems this is the one part of the game the developers just can't stop messing with.
The last time we talked about the player's moveset, there was a lot to be added and changed. So let's see what we've done since then. After procrastinating on this for months, players can finally crouch jump. We've also updated the hover and double jump. So originally when you press jump in the air, you would hover, and then if you press it again, you would double jump.
What?
Yeah, they shared the same button. So now hover is on a separate button, and players have the freedom to do whatever move in whatever order they want. Another new addition is jump height variety. That's right, we have gone the entire development of Zoo Strikers without even thinking about jump height variety until a beta tester told us it's not in there. So from now on, please set your expectations for this game based on that. I'm hungry. Now, are you ready for the most insane move you will ever see in a 3D platformer? Typically, these games have some sort of ledge grabbing mechanic, which we don't. I mean, I don't even want to imagine trying to implement ledge grabbing like this, while also having to shoot and use items at the same time.
Oh my god!
So hear me out, instead of a ledge grab, it's a ledge jump. So it's doing the same checks as a ledge grab, but it's just applying an upward force, hopping you over that ledge. I actually think this is now my favorite part of the moveset. It feels great, especially on these smaller obstacles. Oh, just look at that.
Yeah.
With the player's moveset possessing all the wanted additions, it's time to move on. It's finally time for the end of match screen. Can the developers really make it stand out from the rest?
What? Who said that? Anyways, we're all used to this type of screen at the end of matches. And I personally, I'm not a fan of this screen. Not because it's overused, but because I'm a sore loser. The winners already won, and now they get a whole screen and animation dedicated to pissing me off. Not if I have anything to say about it, and I do. For Zoo Strikers, I'm gonna do the opposite of that. Check this out. Here's our end of game screen, just like the others. The winning players are all lined up here like usual, except when the losers hover over a winner, they'll be given a menu with animation options. These will be different animations that humiliate the winning player. So maybe a shark falls onto them and eats them whole, or the loser comes up and knocks them out with a punch, or pantses them. For a little while, I thought it might be funny to have assassinations. So your player would brutally assassinate the winner as they beg for their life, Optimus Prime style.
No, Optimus! Headshot.
But this ain't really that type of game. You're gonna have to wait for another devlog to see these humiliation animations, as we actually have to test out this screen first and make sure all this player data here is running properly. One last thing I want to mention about this is this blur shader. I needed something that would blur the background, but not the players. Luckily for me, there was a tutorial on a blur shader for actual materials. So this is just a plane behind the player models doing a somewhat alright job at blurring the background. I mean, it's good enough for what we need, but the tutorial for this blur shader will be linked in the description if you want it for yourself.
The end of match screen is now being tested and bug fixed. In the meantime, there's been a change to the map making process.
In a previous devlog, I showed off Polybrush, a really cool tool that lets you vertex paint within Unity. When I first found this, it was like magic. And then I updated the meshes and noticed that they weren't updating. And it turned out that Polybrush is actually not that great and has a bunch of issues that are easily solved by just not using it and by vertex painting in Blender. Most 3D modeling software is faster and more intuitive for vertex painting and allows you to do a lot more, like having multiple vertex paint layers and painting sharp edges. I recommend everyone learn how to vertex paint within your modeling software. It's kind of a forgotten art form as far as indie games go. And vertex paint data can be used for all sorts of cool things, not just being multiplied against a texture. We've used it to hide porn within Zoo Strikers. Well, it seems we're out of time. There's so much more to talk about. I wish I could show it all, but you have to go now and get busy and have fun. And I had to get back to work on Big Hops. I'm actually on my lunch break right now. I was gonna do a bit here where I was eating a banana, but I did that in my last recording, so I'm not gonna do it again. Here's a little sneak peek at a tropical environment I've been working on in Big Hops. And just look at those palm trees. Look how good they look. The ones in Zoo Strikers don't even compare. Well, I hope to get another devlog out sooner rather than later. I'm gonna miss you. Bye bye. Wait, don't leave yet. I want to leave you with a question. What part of our development process on Zoo Strikers would you like to see more of? Anyways, have a good day now. I'll see you soon.